Hello, hello, my friends, and Happy New Year too. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Lance Hedrick here. Let's just jump right in. So before we get to a massive Q&A, which is sure to be riddled with fantastic questions and head scratchers, I want to start off by discussing the thumbnail of this, which is New Year, New Gear. Now, every year we get so excited for the gear that's going to be coming, and this year, I'm sure, is no exception. So before we start the year, let's make sure we have our heads on straight. The only reason FOMO is allowed to even exist is because we let it. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is whenever a company puts out something that might be slightly better or slightly more enticing than something either on the market or on your coffee bar, whenever we show that we need it, other companies are then compelled to make something even more so. Okay. And then the more they make those, the more you feel FOMO. The more you feel FOMO, the more they're going to make things to fill that FOMO. Now, on this channel, or actually on my main channel, I review all this stuff. And I do that so that you don't have to have FOMO. And sometimes when I make a video, it induces FOMO. So it's a vicious cycle. And it's not something that I'm intending. But guess what? There are people starting new in coffee every day. And I want to help give everyone guidance as to what they may want to buy or not buy. Now, this does not mean when I get excited about something that you should go and want to throw away your machine and get something new and shiny and flashy. There's so much vitriol online that it is difficult to really see the good from the bad, the sheep from the wolves. And so I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter what you've got. Okay, if you have good beans, you're going to be making good coffee. But of course, if you have the option of choosing something that is 5 years old, that has, become superseded by better things today for the same price, well, why not be guided towards that? Does that mean that the thing 5 years old that's currently on your coffee bar is obsolete? No, it doesn't. But it just means, well, if you had $500 to spend right now and you had nothing, well, maybe this other one will be maybe a slightly better idea. But the fact of the matter is this, people, there has not been any groundbreaking, massive innovations that have occurred in any of the sectors of coffee for a long time, especially with regards to gear. There just hasn't. So whereas I might get excited about things, it's because I'm an excitable person. I'm someone that sees a small change, and I hope that this will lead to another and another and another. My mind goes crazy, and then I get really excited. And sometimes that can mislead others into thinking that grinder X or espresso machine Y is the greatest thing out there, and I won't get good coffee unless I have that. This is not true, okay? This is not the case. Don't fall prey to consumerism. Don't fall prey to gear acquisition syndrome. Please, let's do this new year where we're focusing on good coffees. Sure, let's watch the videos. Let's watch gear reviews. Let's watch silly ways of getting extra percentages of your coffee better by doing silly things because it's fun, okay? It's fun. It's something we chase, we enjoy. But if you're just funneling money into more and more gear, that's not where the majority of your quality increase is going to be coming from. That is from the coffee itself. So if you want to spend money, throw it at really nice coffee. Don't throw it at gear that might get you 0.05% better tasting coffee, because that's really all that's going down, unless you get some sort of massive upgrade, in which case, okay, it makes sense. I still would prefer you going for coffee. But anyway, that's enough of my lecture for the new year. I always got to start with a little bit of feisty lectures, because though I'm not Daddy Hop, though I'm not the daddy, I've been referred to as the uncle, and sometimes the uncle can have a little bit more wisdom over the nephews and nieces of the world. Okay, so let's just make sure all of that is said nice and clearly as we begin the new year. You do not need something massive and new and shiny and whatever. Okay. Now let's get to chat. Haha, here we are. It wasn't loading for a bit, but now it's loading. And I'll probably do more rants throughout this video on that exact topic, because I will talk about things and people will be like, oh, I need that. Oh, no, you don't. You need delicious coffee. All right. Genuinely. Here, you know what? I'm going to set something up for you. You give me a coffee that's roasted okay. It's fine. It's an okay quality green coffee. It's fine. And you give me what people are loving right now, which, by the way, this is another thing I see are trends where cults gather around machines. I want people to know this. People who are watching this right now, you're going to get on home forums, you're going to get on these things, you're going to see cults surrounding certain grinders and certain espresso machines, and they get really clicky, and it's not cool. If you're part of one of these cults, shut up. We don't want to hear how your thing's the best in the world. There are people who are in like the Lagome cult, people in the Weber cult, people in the KafaTek cult, people in, I don't even know, the Titus cult. All of these things have their the Xerno cult. Like all of these have these like cults where it's the best ever. What you have to remember is if you get into these groups and you see people talking about them like there's nothing better. This has the best workflow. The other ones are stupid. This one has a better motor. The others are stupid. If you see that and you have one of the ones that they're calling stupid, remember this. That person spent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on that machine. Of course, they have confirmation bias. Guess what? If you like what you like, you like what you like, and everyone else's opinion is dribble. Okay, it's dribble. It's like, no, I don't want to hear it. All right. So there are going to be cults you're going to see online. Let's move past cults. Let's move past worshiping certain things. Get what you like. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Okay. As I have a Streetman sitting right here. The irony. Because I do love a Streetman. But guess what? If you don't have a Streetman, okay, it's a $2,500 machine. I don't blame you. Don't get one. Is it going to make $2,000 better espresso than a Gaggia Classic Pro? No, it's not. Well, I mean, I guess if you're like a billionaire, sure, maybe $2,000 dropping a hat for you, it's worth it. But I mean, come on. Okay. All right. Now for real. Happy New Year. Thank you for coming on. Lance Hedrick Unfiltered. If you're not subbed already here, why not? That's silly. Hit the like button. And then obviously this isn't my main channel, but this is where we do things more unfiltered. As you see, I've got clutter everywhere. It's a mess in here. It's a bit more clean for the main channel. And I've got Ugo. I'm filming on a daggum laptop right now. I do have my nice microphone going on, and I have it in a position so you can hear the crisp tones. But yeah, it's New Year. It's 2025. And this year, guess what? Last year, I did not think, at the end of 2023, I did not think we would have as many freaking releases as we did in 2024. But guess what? We did. And it's just going to happen again this year. So just be vigilant, be on guard, and watch out for tricky marketing ploys. Though, it is also kind of fun because when I get one and I'm like, this is kind of crap, and I say it, it always turns people on their heads. And we all love that, don't we? I don't really, because I get really mean emails, but it's okay. It's been a fun year. So in year in review, what did we do last year? Well, last year, I accidentally started a controversy with shaking espresso. Didn't mean to. Wasn't even part of the original testing. Pissed people off. I got people really annoyed with my 49 millimeter preference. Sorry, the Streetman really got me going. It revved my engine a bit. And I was like, I wonder if this is a little something to the 49 mils. We got people all mad about different pour over approaches. And, people are now saying that more wide open beds and shallow beds are better than narrow. But I'm like, nah, give me narrow. I want the bed depth. And, I'm not. People want to think I'm intentionally ruffling feathers. I'm not. I'm chasing Tasty Town. All right. Guy Fieri has anything I say right now could sound really suggestive. I was gonna say come into my body, but that we said it anyway. So Flavor Town is where we're trying to get to, and that's always the goal. All right, I'm always going for flavor and efficiency. I want to be data driven. I want to be Tasty Town driven. So that's what we're doing. But anyway, now what we're gonna do is free for all questions. I have a cup of coffee, decaf, of course, because it is 8:30 p.m. and or 8:21, I guess, if we want to be real specific. But I'm going to go through and we're going to just buzz off the answers to these questions. We're just going to rattle them off. I said buzz off. I meant rattle off the answers to these questions. So let's just do this. I have my phone right here, muted, and let's go for it. Happy New Year. Quick question. What grind size / setting would you recommend as a starting point for V60 on this 078? That's a really hard question for me to answer because I've been switching burrs like a burr man up in his house. But I would say probably 9 to 11 would be a good starting point if you have stock calibration with the hybrid or the, what do they call them, turbo burrs. Speaking of, the LeBrew burrs came in. I need to season them. Was going to do that this weekend. So we've got the LeBrew burrs. They look very, very similar to the SSPs. Wow, this actually, no, that's my fingerprint. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna check those bad boys out. I know people are really waiting on them, but guess what? I don't rush things up in here. There's no rushing. You're not gonna rush me. Don't say, what are your early thoughts on these XYZ burrs? Because guess who's not telling you? Me. Maybe JoJo Siwa will with her dream guests on her podcast, but not me, not here. That's not what I do. I take my time, make sure we're doing the good call because burrs are not cheap. Nothing here is cheap. And I'm not going to funnel fixation onto minor upgrades if it's just a minor upgrade. The turbo burrs are incredible. So we'll have to see. All right. We got lots of questions. Okay. Happy New Year's all. Lance may not have had a chance to try yet, but since they're on the crazy sale, worth getting LeBrew 78 mils. We just spoke about that. You didn't know, and you posted the question. It's okay. If Manhattan is roasting Onyx EU, what's the difference between Manhattan's roast style and Onyx EU? Great question. Yes, man. So essentially what is going on with Onyx EU, this was a project I conceived years ago. Not necessarily the Manhattan part, but Onyx EU. And I'm really good friends with Ben at Manhattan. So we had some talks, and over the past 18 months or so, we've been working towards doing this. I've taken many a trip to Rotterdam, and I have essentially dialed in the roaster a little bit differently than they have. So with the Typhoon, it's a bit more difficult to kind of discuss, but the long and short of it is I have a different approach as regards the energy transfer, the energy input of what we're doing to the coffee for Onyx's green. So not only are we doing a lower energy input to extend the roast, but we're actually roasting lighter as well. So it's a lighter color with a longer development time. So it can sound confusing. It's very difficult because the roast times are only like 20 seconds different, 30 seconds different, but the energy input is about 20% different. So it's going to have a very big effect on the final product. And so it won't taste like, I mean, it's kind of like you asking, okay, if Say was roasting Onyx coffee on their Loring, what's the difference between Say and Onyx? It'd be the approach of the roaster, right? That's what it is. So it's just a different approach on a very specific roaster that doesn't really have an equal out there as far as it's what it does, right? So it's not a hybrid, it's not a drum roaster, it's completely fluid bed roaster. So yeah, completely different. Current favorite filter burr. I'm currently bouncing between 80 ULF and 98 brew burr. So it really depends on the coffee. If I have crappy coffee, I cannot stand the 98 brew burr. You have to have really nice coffee or it will just taste so not good. Like, honestly, it turns into like a metallic type of weird taste because it's so surgically precise. Now, I hear people talk about surgical precision, all these things, and they use those terms with burrs that I don't think have that. People use it with the ULFs from Weber. I don't agree. People use it with 078, with ZP6, with Pietro, with Xerno multipurpose. I don't agree with that. I think really the only burr that I've ever had where I could say that is uncomfortably like precise is the 98 brew burrs, and only when they're aligned to my EK. I've had them in other grinders and haven't had that same experience. And of course, I have a different flavor preference, but it like gets to the point where there's almost no flavor in the cup. There needs to be a bit more zhush. You know what I'm saying? So I would say. For filter, it's difficult because I don't like talking about the thing that I want to say. So I think that's enough for me to say it. And it's on screen right now. But the thing that I burn most with is the one thing that I don't really like talking about much. So I brewed this with too. Can you give resources for really nice coffee? Yeah, it's really difficult. So I don't really like recommending roasters because so many of them, they're all hit or miss. All roasters are hit or miss. And so it really depends on the green that comes in because the nicer the green, the bigger area of hit or miss a roaster has. I would say out of... obviously, I don't like recommending Onyx because that's conflict of interest. So I always like to recommend a third party. I would say that for me, the most consistent roaster where I consistently know I will at least enjoy the coffee, if not love it. Well, that might even be too strong of terms. I would say the roaster that I tend to enjoy the highest percentage of coffees ordered would be the Picky Chemist, which is a small roaster in Belgium. So sorry for people in the States who may not want to pay shipping or whatever, but he does tend to buy only high-end coffees as well. So that gives him a higher hit rate, higher success rate, but it's because it's not his full-time job and he has the capability of not having to buy, cheaper coffee or lower quality things where if you misroast it, it's really bad. So essentially what you have is when you have a really high quality green and you let's say you buy a 91 point green and you do a terrible job roasting it and you roast 2 points off of it. Now it's 89. That's still freaking delicious. You buy an 86 point coffee, you roast 2 points off of it. That's 84. It turns from like quite decent to like not super decent. And again, this is me just throwing out like these numbers don't mean too much to most people because it's not very calibrated globally. But I'm just trying to get across a point when you have more points essentially to shed, and you're going to screw up a roast anyway. It's better to have a higher starting point. That's simple mathematics, right? So he does tend to buy really nice coffees for the most part, and they tend to hit really well. So I would say he has the highest hit rate, the highest batting average with me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's like 80 or 90% or anything, but it's still a really nice, really nice rate. Thoughts on EK Omnia? So far, retention is one of the worst that I have seen. And we'll get into that with a video. Struggling to get flavors to pop on my V60. I use a Kinu to grind fresh, light roasted beans. The first dose when opening a bag has subtle flavor. In general, it is pretty mute. If it's fresh, okay, first off, don't open it fresh. You're going to get mostly roasty flavors. So I would let the bag sit. If you're doing proper light roast, at least 4 weeks, okay? Second, grind a lot coarser. If it's mute, you need to go coarser. Let's see. Have you managed to get your hands on the Aiden? Oh, you mean this? Sorry, it's plugged in. Yes, I have an Aiden. I bought one on Black Friday from somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where. I'm curious about automating pour over work, especially for my wife, because I also like an actual batch brewer. Last thing I want to buy. That's what you think. Be careful. Be careful. Okay. So far, it's been nice. I really enjoy having a batch brewer, and I abuse it with decaf at night. I'll put like 60-gram batch in there, and my wife and I will just like be drinking decaf throughout the night. It's nice. But I'll do a full out review on it, on my thoughts. Happy New Year. Any espresso water chemistry advice for light roast with a manual espresso maker like Robot or Flare? No scale concerns, so I've been adding buffer to the water I use for filter. Yeah, you can do that. I'm always a big fan with light roast to go up to like 60 to 80 ppm of buffer if you're doing light roast. You don't want to have sour acid shots. So toss in buffer, keep tossing in buffer, and you're good to go. I generally don't do too much general hardness. I don't do much magnesium. I don't do much calcium. I go pretty much all buffer. And if I need some GH, I can always post mineralize. So, hey, from Edinburgh, Obsessed Closet. I'll be up in Edinburgh in 15 days, 16 days, something like that. So at Cafen or Cafen or CAFEN, however you say that. So I'm not buying one anytime soon because I'm happy with my setup. But out of curiosity, is there an entry-level spring lever machine out there? Great question, and it's something that I hope changes soon. Maybe I've pitched an idea, but they've not gotten back to me yet. But anyway, the Ponte Vecchio is probably the cheapest one. Well, no, okay, I take that back. Argos is the cheapest spring lever that I am knowledgeable of, which is about $1,100-$1,200. 58 millimeter spring lever. I would prefer though. Well, I have one on the way, so I can't say this for sure. But the Ponte Vecchio is like a little bit more than that, I think, or about the same price, something like that. But it's 49 millimeter group, so I have one of those coming soonish. But yeah, I don't really know of a cheap sub 1,000 spring lever. If there is one, please someone let me know because I want it. Okay. I think I'm close to pulling the trigger on the Mazzer Philos. Any grinder you'd recommend over the Philos at 1,000 or less? This was actually something I thought about putting in my Xerno Mazzer video, and honestly, I kind of regret not doing it. It's going to be a controversial take. That's going to peeve off a lot of people, and I know it's going to happen. Thankfully, these videos don't get nearly as many views as the main channel, so I'm going to say it. Though I know some of you jokers are going to take this to Reddit or somewhere, and people are going to come and grab your pitchforks and your tar and feathers. We have someone to go mess up. I would actually, no joke, crap you not, I would take a Timemore 078 over a Mazzer Philos. I would. Form factor is much better. It's much quieter. I like the look a whole lot better. Bigger burrs go burr. You know what I'm saying? I just would. I would it's like $200-$300 less. I would. That's me. That's me. I'm not saying if you have a Philos, you should regret it. If you hear me say that, well, you're not hearing me say that because it's not being said. Okay. The Philos is very well built tank of a grinder. Mazzer has a solid reputation with things that last a long time. I've seen Timemore Zone now in cafes for well over a year and a half, still chugging along just fine. I've taken them all the way down to the bones, and there's nothing that should really have a fault. It's a really well-built grinder. I see people complain about alignment on it. I'm like, prove it. What are you going to prove? A marker test to me? That's not going to show me anything. So I don't really, I don't know. I still have not gotten anywhere near as good a cup of filter on the Philos with any burst that I put in it than I do with the Timemore. And when it comes to espresso, I think it's matched with the 078S burrs. I think it can match the espresso that the Philos puts out. And then we also now have the SSP and LeBrew options. And so for me, under 1,000, for me, I'm just saying. And to be fair, I bought my Timemore, I bought my Mazzer. There's no like freebies in here biasing those words. That's me just being, I'm just being honest. Okay. So take it for what you will. You can hate that take. You can love it. I don't really care because it's my take and it is what it is. So I'm loving the Pietro since I got it and about to sell my 078. Is there any early feedback on the SSP LeBrew 78 that I should wait to try those out as they're significantly better than turbos? It's impossible to be significantly better than turbos to me. So if you're looking for what the turbos give, then I'll go ahead and tell you there's no chance that they're going to be significantly better than turbos for filter. There's no chance. Unless you're looking for something different. If what you're looking for is flavor clarity, and what you're looking for is like that flavor separation, and what you're looking for is to be able to sip a cup of coffee without it all blending together while maintaining a structure, then it's not going to be significantly better. In the same way that I already can tell you the SSP 78 is not as good as the 80 millimeter ULF. I'm confident in that. I've not done full out. I don't take this as my submission, my final submission. I could change my mind. Okay, I'm going to keep this here. But so far, without a ton of side-by-sides, I don't think the 7.8 SSPs are as good as the 80 ULFs, which are roughly like the same geometry. And I don't think that the ULF, which I think are a little bit better, I don't think they're significantly better than the turbo burrs. So that's what you have to take into account is when we're saying significantly better, heck no, techno. You could put unicorn farts all over those burrs. They're not going to be significantly better than the turbos. There's not. Unless you're not looking for that style of cup, in which case, I don't know how to answer the question, right? If you're going for LeBrew or SSP with the burr geometry that these two have, which are very similar, almost identical, and LeBrew, by the way, even admits to all but copying SSP in a YouTube video that he himself, Ryan, made. So me saying that's not like, ooh, don't say copies. No, he's straight upset. So they're essentially the same. No, they're not significantly better. I can already say that for sure. What they give you a little bit differently is, honestly, I can't really even say that yet because I've not done enough testing, but I know for a fact they're not significantly better. And that's all I'm saying of the 7. You sons of guns, you got me to say a little something that I didn't want to say, and now I've said it. You don't get any more from me on the 78 mils, you feisty vixens of Lucifer. Okay. I've had a coffee off my Gaja Encore combo that I've enjoyed more than most any coffee I've had from shops. Oh yeah, I don't doubt that in the slightest. I don't doubt that in the slightest. What is your advice on water with Lotus products used with Onyx EU? I usually do about, I'd recommend about, for filter, about 70 general hardness. So usually I like to do like 50 magnesium, 20 calcium, and then I'll do like 20 to 25 ppm of potassium bicarbonate. It switches up though. It's around those. Thoughts on KafaTek warranty and after-sales service? I'm not super familiar. They're very serviceable machines, so I don't really pay much attention to it. I think that you have a year of I don't know. I have heard and read online. I can't speak to this first person, but I've heard that there's issues if you like flame the company or something like that. I don't really know. I am speaking out of what I read online, but I've read this on other companies as well. In fact, I will say this right here. The only company I have seen as being largely, okay, two in-game grinder companies I have seen as being largely across the board as unproblematic are Option-O and Xerno. Every other, and I'm not saying that the other big in-game grinder companies have culpability in any of these. I'm also saying they don't have culpability in these. But I have seen drama thrown at every other in-game grinder company in one way or another on forums. Now, could they be one-offs? Sure. Could they be just disgruntled people who, you know, regretted buying something? Sure. But my only point is, I have personally, no, I think I've actually seen a little something about Optional, but it was like, I think that was, I don't even know. That's how clean, for as many grinders as they sell at that price point, it's very clean. And Xerno, I've not really seen anything other. No, I take it back. I have seen some with Xerno. People get really mad about the prepayment. So actually, with every in-game, I've seen people complain. There's not one that has their hands completely washed clean from criticism, but that's to be expected. But I will say, among the in-game, Optional is the least amount of insults hurled at them that I've seen online. Weird side tangent, but that's just my own vantage point. Wondering what you thought are some productive ways for a coffee shop to help educate people on coffee, or if that's even their responsibility to begin with. So that's a good question. Is it their responsibility to begin with? So it's not your responsibility if you don't put it on yourself. Now, I like to view it as responsibility is such a strong word. It's not your responsibility. No, because that is something that's kind of placed upon you, right? It is not an inherent responsibility of coffee shops. That being said, it is a really nice conduit to furthering coffee in general, which I am always a fan of. I love I love when shops do public classes on like how to do pour over at home, how to like, you come buy a bag and we'll show you how to brew it and you can brew it home. Things like that I think are really helpful, and they can strengthen bonds in the community. Doing like little pour over services that are separate from your normal service with special coffees, doing you know, little cuppings, things like that that can tie in together the community, I think are really important and really fun. But is it your responsibility? No, it's not. Unless Daddy Hoff says so. I guess I'm trying to think of who the greatest Oz in the land is to put the responsibility on someone. I don't know who that would be. So, are you going to review the LeBrew burrs? Yes! Just watched this Prometheus video about coffee content, LOL, and I feel it at this point. Just want to know about the Aiden. I also longer term want a lever machine. Yeah, no, I will say there in everything there's two sides. I think some of it may have been a little overly critiquey because he wasn't as specific as he probably could have been in that video on content. And it sounded weird. It sounded like he was mourning the fact that there are other people in coffee content creation than just him. Because he was one of the few, years ago. And so it was just kind of a weird thing, but I did think there were good golden nuggets in there. So for instance, there are lots and lots and lots and lots of like creators across TikTok and other areas where, like it or not everyone into coffee is into coffee like the people watching this are, right? You have people who really enjoy, like the TikTok, for instance, the like, on TikTok, the most followed like TikTok coffee accounts tend to be more ASMR style content. Nothing wrong with that. But with those, with any following, people have a massive influence they're wielding, right? And with them, since they're not reviewing products the way I do, where they're putting their whole reputation on the line with a review and with their word, it just doesn't matter to them because that's not what they're doing. They are more willing to take deals with companies, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just, as a consumer, need to be smart and suss out who is doing what and for what purpose. And so I see a lot of people, and it is making its way onto YouTube with some areas. But the fact of the matter is people assume that YouTube, if you have six-figure subs, over 100,000 subscribers, then you must be making a lot of money. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is just not true. It's just not. It doesn't. And there are people who think that if you have loads of subs, regardless of how you get them, that you must be making a lot of money. That's also not true. For instance, if you have a ton of viral shorts and that gains you a ton of subscribers, that doesn't mean that you're making money. Shorts don't really make anything. I don't really post shorts, but I know this because I have friends who post shorts and get a lot of subs from it. So there are people who have even more subs than like I do, or people who are close to Hoffman in subs, and they don't make that much money on YouTube because shorts don't really do that. And their long form content doesn't really do well. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. So YouTube is a bit hard. And so I can understand the decision to take deals with companies, but it's a tricky bag. Like, you have to be really upfront that what you're doing is completely biased and that you cannot stand behind what you say 150% because there is a financial motivation behind it. And unless you are directly designing it, in which case I think it'd be fine to then push it, because if you directly design it, of course you're building what you want, then there is a conflict of interest. And it's difficult for consumers of content to suss that out unless someone's being very clear. And that's why a lot of people tell me I'm way too obnoxious about me being authentic and like I'm telling you the truth. But it's because I know there are so many people that will watch a video. If I don't say it in one video, some people watch that video, and they may take away something that maybe I don't want taken away. So I feel the need to constantly say, okay, I'm not working with these people. Okay, I bought this. Okay, I am working with these people. This is this, this is this, this is this. So I try to be as clear and articulate as possible when it comes down to these types of dicey situations, because I mean, this is what content's all about, right? Like, we're in such a unique situation in the world where the drivers of the market are now influencers, quote unquote. And I do not like calling myself an influencer, though without meaning to be, I am. And you could say, yes, you're meaning to be. I'm not really meaning to in the traditional sense of like an influencer is trying to get you to use their affiliate link. That's not what I'm doing. Yes, if you're buying something on Amazon, you can buy it through my affiliate link, even if it's a daggum vacuum cleaner, and it's going to give me some of Amazon's money. That I'm going to sing. There are fireworks that just came up, and I don't know how. I know that they do it somehow. But yes, I would love for you to buy your vacuum cleaner using my Amazon affiliate link. I don't have it in my store, but apparently you can go through and buy it anyway. I don't know. It's weird. But does what I do influence decisions? Yes. So am I technically an influencer? Yeah. Now we're getting to this weird self-introspection thing that I wasn't anticipating, but yeah. So the video was interesting because it was a good like a good call out. Though I think there are times that Prometheus chooses to be a bit harsh, and not harsh. Harsh isn't the right word. Not as thorough as I would like. And I think that there was more that could have been said about it to ensure that people aren't catching strays, because I do think there are good content creators who have taken deals either in the past or currently that are pretty honest creators. So I don't want it to come across as, flaming everyone just because I don't do it. You know what I'm saying? It'd be easy for me to make a video and say the same things because I'm not doing it. So I could just flame everyone to discredit them all. And this is my issue with it. I could flame everyone to discredit everyone except for James, because he's the only one not taking free things like myself. Pretty sure there's no one else out there not taking free things. And I could flame everyone just to discredit them all. I'm not going to do that. And if I were going to say something like it, I would be very intent about making sure I was very, very, very articulate about it. So yeah, but I still thought it was worth sharing because I think it's a nice sobering thought going into 2025, where there will inevitably be more and more and more Kickstarters and fancy, flashy things. And yeah. Wanting to try 49mm step down basket at my shop. Do you recommend the fast flow or regular? I like the peel of faster shots to save time. So if you're doing this in a shop, you have to think about milk beverages. So also, in a shop, that's going to be hard if you do a step-down basket. They're not as clean in your workflow. I would not recommend a step-down in a shop, to be honest with you. Yeah. But you could do it. And if you were, I would probably stick with standard for Milkies, but fast flow would be cool too. Is a KafaTek move review incoming? It is not incoming anytime soon, no. For someone wanting to pursue a career in coffee, what advice would you have? This is the hardest question ever, always. I get this a lot. Pursuing a career in coffee is very difficult, nigh on impossible. It's I'm going to use maybe a ridiculous analogy, but it's like trying to become an actor. You go out to LA and you are working 14 jobs to try to maintain as you keep going to auditions and auditions and auditions. You get one, it does well, but then what do you do after that? So in coffee, you have to, if you want to be a barista, the sad fact is that most countries in the world do not appreciate the baristas enough to pay them what they should be paid. There's going to be arguments about, oh yeah, baristas don't be paid, blah, 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 whatever. People, if you're one of those people, whatever, boomer. So they don't pay what you're worth. Except I think like Australia does pretty well on paying baristas. But if you're wanting to make it in coffee, you either need to work a couple jobs, until you really get the experience to be able to get a higher up job at kind of a big company, or you need to hitch your wagon to a growing company. Those are really your two options. To get a job, to work your butt off in order to get a higher up job at like an Intelligentsia as like a regional trainer, like a La Colombe or Blue Bottle, something like that. Or you need to like find a growing roastery, hitch your wagon to it, and to get upward mobility. Or there's always the third option as being an entrepreneur, in which case that's full of risks in and of itself. So it's not great advice. It's very difficult. And I've told my story many times, but just briefly, I started in coffee part-time as barista while I was working through my graduate school. After a year and a half of that, I dropped out of graduate school with 6 hours left because I really wanted to pursue coffee, which was silly. Moved to Memphis with my wife. I was working for a roastery. Soon found out we needed more money. So I took, within a month, I took cafe shifts at a French restaurant on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. I worked 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. every week. And then we found out we were pregnant, and I took another job at another cafe, and I was working 3 to 4 shifts there a week in the afternoons. So every day I was working mornings at the roastery till about 3, and then I was working shifts at the cafe from like 3 to 8 or 9, and then weekends I was working at the French restaurant. And I did this until I took a job as a manager at a shop I helped open. And then after 8 months of that, I started working for Onyx. So there were many years of hard many-hour weeks where I still wasn't paid much because they can get away with it if they can, say that you're supposed to be making tips or whatever. So it's difficult. But yeah, and so I got on with Onyx, which is a growing company, and I've loved working with them. I've been there now, and this March will be. Why can't I do math? 7 years. That's it. Yeah. I thought it was gonna be 8. It'll be 7 years. 7 or 8? 7. Yeah, this March will be 7 years. Can I do pour over for 800 mils of coffee? I would not recommend it. Would not taste very good. Can you do it? Yes. Should you do it? No, in my opinion. Are you interested in Turkish coffee? I feel like no one online is data driven about it. I am not, because I do not like the gritty. I don't like unfiltered brews. It's not pleasing to my palate. Hey, while y'all are on here, go ahead and like this video. We have 231 people watching and 47 likes. Come on, let's. Those are rookie numbers. Pump them up. Pump them up. Pump them up. Thanks. 48. Nice. One person listened. Okay. Which one do you prefer between the Flare Pro and the 58 based on depth versus diameter? Which one do you prefer between the Flare Pro and 58 based on diameter? Oh, I mean, the Flare Pro. I've always loved that Flare Pro too, and I've always loved it more. It's just the workflow isn't as good as the 58, right? So I would tend to use the 58 because workflow. Filters make workflow incredible. Also, if you haven't subscribed, do it. What are you doing? Thanks. What good coffee should I get if I want single region medium roast? So single origin medium roast. Some good companies that isn't considered specialty. I don't really know companies not considered specialty because I don't really. That being said, I'm much less against them now because commodity price is so high. If people are buying $3.50 a pound a commodity, that's as good or better than specialty roasters. So go at it. I can't really name any because I'm not really sure. Single boiler equivalent to the Lelite Bianca, the Mar X. Oh, I guess that's heat exchanger, but it's still single boiler. So single boiler with rotary pump and E6. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, there's no single boiler with rotary pump that I'm aware of. Not with rotary pump. Roaster and just started my business. I roast on a Stronghold SM Pro. Nice. Would you be interested in using my coffee as coffee for your tests and videos? I mean, I have so much. Not to say no, but I have. It would be costly to get it here, shipping it. I already have like so much coffee here because I roast with Onyx. But I do appreciate it. I've been loving my Gauge Classic Pro E24 with the DF83V, a nice basket puck screen, and temp surfing means very light roast espresso has been great. Of course, the Gajuino vid's convincing me. Heck yeah, that's great. It would be super interesting to see how the LeBrew 98 filter compares to SSP 98 brew. The LeBrew 98 filter are not here. There they they are. And then SSP. And they're very similar. Little deeper grooves in the SSP. But very similar. A more angular outfall on the, more aggressive outfall on the, well, aggressive angle on the outfall of the LeBrew, which makes me think it would probably crack a bit more going out, potentially creating more fines. But difficult to say. It's not that much deeper. It's just a wider. This one is a bit wide. No, it just goes up higher. And I need to take some calipers out and measure it. But anyway, yeah, those will be compared, obviously, at some point. I've got a lot of videos in the pipeline. Weird question. You think the fact that the decent forum is not public is a negative on the coffee community? I'm building a Gajwino and finding it hard to find info about profiling. Just go to the Gajwino Discord. There's lots of stuff there. I don't think it's a negative. Honestly, it would be impossible for it to be open. It would just be overrun with people, and it's already got so many people in it. I understand why it's private. There is a decent Discord you could get on that is public. But yeah. What is this? Okay. Okay, let's see. Got a Pietro for Christmas, changed drastically within the first 2 weeks. Is that normal? I heard that normally takes 3 to 5 kilos to season it. Yes, needs lots of seasoning. The DLC coating requires lots of seasoning. Opinions on Mazzer 233M burr set. Xerno offers it as an option. I do not like it. If you like dark roasted coffees, it's not bad. It's still, there are better options, I think, but it's not a bad burr set. Possible to compare hand grinders to electric. I love my J-Max, but light roast for espresso are starting to become more of an annoyance. It's hard because there's so many electric and so many hand grinders. It's hard to know what to compare to what and on what basis. Because it always depends on different things for different people, what people are wanting. Let me grab a cup of water. How often do you get your hair cut? I try to do it once a month now. Where do you find your vintage espresso machines? On different websites in Europe. I mean, there's lots of used websites throughout Europe. Is the Omnia aligned and tighter than the EKs from like pre-2020? New Gen EK seems to have addressed a lot of the issues people have with them. I assume these improvements would be present in the EK. No, the Omnia is not good in alignment. I'll show all in my Omnia video. But I might want to try. I might actually try and talk with Malkoenig before. It's bad. It's 15 grams too small of a dose in an O2 V60. Nope, that's what I do every day. I cleaned the gaskets behind my shower screen for the first time in 2 years. Oh, geez. That's grody. Do you make at-home coffee cocktails like the one Morgan does? No, I do not like coffee cocktails. Hot take. I love that Morgan does it. Glad someone's doing it. I don't like coffee. I don't like coffee in anything. I want coffee alone. Where are the other people likes? We have 241, only 108 likes. You better like this freaking video, people. Come on. Winston, what is this? We're not in freaking kindergarten. Still happy with the Xerno. What is your favorite 64 burr for both pour over and espresso in the Xerno? The multi-purpose. Got a new Timemore Chestnut S3. Quick opinion. Does a solid job. I'm not a big fan of the Timemore Chestnuts because I don't like the burrs that much, but they do a good job. Like, I think they're really well-made hand grinders that'll last a long time. Super well-made. They're good. They're good. Bought Philos, and the burr screws are just machined into the machine. And the burr screws can't get out. Already contacted and wanted to change. They're machined into the machine. The screws won't unscrew? I got an niche with both burrs until I got my Xerno. Nice. I've been talking to people about the sculptors over the Philos. I just don't understand the hype around the Philos with the issue it has and how big it is for 64. Yeah, there's been a huge fanboyism over the Philos, and that's great. People who have it love it, and I love seeing that. What I don't love seeing is that love turning it into fanaticism, turning into like superiority complex. And I see that a lot. And it surrounds not just Philos, lots of grinders. People do it with Xerno too. And it's just, it is what it is. Like, be proud. That's cool. But we're here to drink coffee, not to flex gear. I love gear, obviously. I'm a gearhead, but new year, new gear. But yeah, that's just what it is. Yeah. DF54 versus DF64 stock burrs only. DF64. Gifted Mazzer burrs from a friend. How will they work in my DF64 Gen 2? Is there a certain roast that works better with them? I mean, honestly, if they're Mazzer burrs and they're the espresso burrs, they're not going to be much better, if at all better, than your stock burrs in the DF64 Gen 2. I like the DF64 Gen 2 burrs. I think they're solid. It occurred to me that neither you nor Daddy Hoff have made a video about siphon brewers. Any reason why not? I can't speak for Daddy Hoff, but I don't like siphon brewers. I don't like the brews. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't like siphon brews. I don't like siphon brews. I'm gonna keep singing. I don't like siphon. Someone asked him about Sage stuff. Sage stuff. Yeah, we can talk about it. So as I've said many times, I have, when I first started YouTube, I made Sage Breville videos because those were some of the only machines I had because that's what I could afford and as what I had used for multiple years. Then I stopped making videos on Breville's for about a year. You can go back and fact check that. It may be like 10 or 11 months. But I did that because in that time, I started on a secret project with Breville. Then after about a year of not making any videos because there was a conflict of interest, I had so many people begging for Breville videos for new releases that I chatted with the legal team at Breville and I said, hey, I'd like to make a video, but I need to say something because I won't make a video. Literally, I said, I will not make a video without, saying that I'm affiliated in some way. So we came up with a sentence I was allowed to say, which is essentially, I'm working on a secret project. Sales of any other machine have nothing to do with my project. My thing is set in stone. Contract's gone. It's like there's nothing that can be done with that. So I can say whatever the hoopla I want, and it has no barring on me. People can believe what they want. That's the long and short of it. That project still has not come to light. It is still in the works because it's starting from ground zero, from nothing. It's not like an iteration on something. It's ground zero to fulfillment. So it's still under wraps. But yeah, I mean, people have their opinions on what I think on things, and it is what it is. I don't really care. I know I've cultivated enough trust with the majority of people that I'm happy with it. If me not making any money on YouTube because I spend it all on gear is not enough for you, then I don't know what you want from me. I still work a full-time job. Yes, I do the consulting, but I don't make anything from YouTube because all of it goes on gear and goes to shipping the stuff away. Like in this past few months, I've given away I'm currently giving away a DF83, a DF64V, a DF54. I just gave away the MX Cool Aries 83, the FOMO Book 68, the Bratza Encore ESP. Before that, I gave like a Lilith Mara X. I gave, I don't even know, different flares. If you're on the Patreon, I don't know. I'm giving them all away as fast as I can through competitions. But, people can contrive whatever they want in their heads about any of that. When and where are you in Edinburgh? Yeah, it's called like Cafen or something. We'll catch you in Edinburgh. Have a Varia VS3. Would you say the 064S is a good upgrade or go for DF83? Why do you need to upgrade is a question. Hey, Lance, unless the grinder is broken, which I've heard that happens with VS3. Machine, have you ever seen an E61 group head replaced with a lever group? Have an E61 Synchronica and wondering if I could put a lever similar to the KafaTek 800. You could. It has a thermosiphon in it. Your machine does. So you'll have to get a lever that works with a thermosiphon, which is definitely doable. You can absolutely do it. But you definitely better be good with machine work. I thought about doing that to my Emmy, by the way. Thoughts on filter 3 at home? Bought the 49 Swerks conversion. You think a 49 millimeter filter 3 would be something that would also benefit from a deeper bed? No, it's already deep enough in the filter 3. If you're doing like a, because think about it, the 58 millimeter base, when you have coarse grounds, it has a deeper bed with really fine tamp grounds. Use SSP Lab Cast V2. I never got a decent cup. This burrs work well on espresso, and I would need more seasoning. You may just not like them, which is why I'm always telling people don't rush to upgrade based off of opinions online. Like you need to maybe try it or something like that. I found that cast burrs can give like a bright acidity, a nice sweetness, but it kind of lacks some of the texture that you might want, which can be a bit annoying. Was about to buy Weber Key, but started seriously considering if I should splurge on EG1, future-proof cure my upgrade itis for years. Will you regret it? I don't know. I don't know you well enough, right? This is definitely a personality thing. Some people will buy an EG1 and be happy forever. Some will buy it and will be unhappy. So it really just depends on who you are. I would say if you're already going from key to EG1, that likely you won't be happy in a year or two, because I promise you more things are going to come out that you're going to want. And so it's going to be one of those things where you're just going to have to mentally prepare yourself to be okay with what you have, and know that there's not going to be a significant improvement for a while. If ever there comes a day where there's an improvement big enough that I think you should get rid of your grinder and buy it, I will let you know, everyone. If there is something significant enough for that, trust me, I will be out and singing and screaming that it's significant, okay? But I haven't done that. I get excited about things, yes, but I've never once said, this is significantly better than everything on the market. Everything else is crap in comparison. Unless that day comes, there's not going to be a big enough difference for you to be remorseful. What do you think about the M98V? I'm getting one. You got the chance to try out the SSP? Yes, I have. SSP probably already asked about SSP. Mario Model 1. I would love to check it out again. I have, my doubts about certain parts of it, but the kids behind it are great. Had a Streetman cups compared to DE1 with 49. I still prefer Streetman, whether that's bias because I love it, or whether it's because it's piston lever driven and not a vibratory pump, remains to be seen. I would suspect it's a little bit of both. Possible replicate the effect of bimodal burrs with unimodal burrs by splitting the dose and grinding 10-40% of it at a finer setting. Not really, because you don't know if it's just based off of the bimodal distribution. It could also be based off particle shape, which a cone or whatever is going to likely give you a different particle shape than flat burrs. Shorts from Lance would be 5 minutes expose at least. You are not wrong, and this is the issue. I have tried to use those AI things that will go through and cut your video into little segments, and they always sucked because they would cut them at 60 seconds, and it's like, that 60-second segment meant nothing. We needed another 4 minutes for it to mean anything. What forums or sources do you read online regarding feedback on in-game grinders? Oh, you go to any thread on homebarista.com, on Reddit, on I just thumbs upped it. Whoops. On Homebarista thread, Reddit, on Discord, all those places. There's loads of threads that you can go search under. Oh, someone said 2 thumbs up. We'll do fireworks. Not doing it. Someone said, don't forget to give the video a like. We're 100 below the current viewers. People can give a like and a subscribe. Okay. Does it compare with blind shakers? Okay. So many cafes use coffee levelers. They do that because it looks like it's working. That's what I've come to just accept. People are going to use those because it looks like it works. Let's see. Let me see how many. Oh, okay. We're catching up. We're catching up. I probably have 5 more minutes though, so I'm not going to divulge too much. I'm going to just answer really quickly because I have to go pick up a good friend from the airport. But I'm going to fly through these questions. Are y'all ready for this? Are we ready for this? I think we're ready. Okay. Let me find out where I was. Oh my God. Okay. Unless I'm considering an apartment TCA for the price point, what other option would you recommend with PID and probably stretching it to OPV? You got to remind me of the price point. I don't know off the top of my head. Step down options for Utica Pro. What's your opinion on that? Step down options, I mean, it's 58 millimeters. So you could do the step down from S-Works if that's what you're talking about, 58 to 49. How large do you think the sweet spot is? Easy Presso X Pro for espresso. I'm using it for a Breville Bambino, but my shots are either sour or bitter. I can't seem to hit the sweet spot. You should absolutely be able to with the X Pro. It's definitely more than granular enough. I would play around with ratios if you're having an issue there. Do you have any opinions on big coffee drippers or a Big Boy and Atkins and maybe a Chemex? I don't like big drippers because using a gooseneck kettle with massive beds like that, I've not found to be very consistent or good. I much prefer, if we're going over, say, 30 grams, I'd much prefer to use a batch brew style situation with a shower head. Why are fines important to espresso flavor? Fines are very important, and it's because they are adding a lot of body and a lot of, I guess, intensity to the espresso. Whenever you brew without fines, you're going to find a much more thin and hollowed situation. I actually just did a video on fines and pour overs, and even in pour overs, you have a complete lack of depth in your coffee and a lack of complexity when you get rid of the fines. But also, they're important to build pressure. Is it a range of 4 or 5 clicks, or do I need to find exact setting? I'm assuming that's on X Pro. In order to get a really nice espresso, you should be within 1 or 2 clicks of where it's perfect for you. It's not that granular. It's not like the J-Max. Happy New Year. Can you do a review for a Synchronica? Maybe. It's not on my immediate radar, though. Do you see the La Marzocco Linea Mini R and upgrade to the Elite Bianca 3? Not really. I mean, maybe in build quality, sure, but as far as experience, absolutely not. Thoughts on freezing beans in a vacuum container? Would the vacuum container make it where it was not okay to take out of the freezer every day? I've heard not to do that normally. No, I would not put a vacuum container in a freezer and open and close, open and close. You'll likely wear out the seal, and opening it and closing it is going to continually add oxygen, and then you keep sucking it out. You're going to suck out volatiles. Curious to hear how you're getting along with the Aiden. I've been getting a bitter note that I don't get with my V60 or batch brews. I've tried dropping temp and grinding coarser to no avail. EK43S. Yeah, I've been doing lots of Samo blooms on it. I've not really been putting great coffee into it, so I can't really talk to it. It's been mostly decaf right now because I've not intensively tested it. I bought 2 Prodigal Single Origin Light Roasts and both taste like sour vomit. I wrote to them, was told to add minerals to my water. No, that isn't the answer. Thoughts? If it's sour vomit, I would actually probably blame you as well. I'm going to be completely honest with you. If it's sour, then it's likely because you're under extracting it or you have low buffer in your water. There's no such thing as a sour roasted coffee. There's only sour extractions. You're not going to have a sour bean. So I don't mean to take their side, but in this situation, that would be my answer to if someone messaged me about Onyx and said it's sour. There's no such thing as sour coffee, just sour extractions. Do you pull turbo shots on your Streetman? Not usually, but I definitely do sometimes when I use really light roasts. Not a fan of Prodigal. That's fair. There are people who aren't. FY, a lot of us are okay with buying things through your affiliate links, so you get a cut of. Amazon is kind of limiting, and I want to hear more about the coffee affiliates that make you money. Well, I don't do direct coffee affiliate links. The only reason I do Amazon is because I'm like, I don't mind taking money from Amazon. When it comes to direct to coffee companies, I just don't like doing that because I don't want it to seem that I'm biased towards a certain gear. I do appreciate that, and I would prefer you to buy from a local coffee distributor as opposed to Amazon. It's just Amazon's there in case people are going to do it because that's inevitable. People do buy through Amazon, so I have it there. I never really push it except in that one video where I necessarily used Amazon for things, but no need to actually use it. I would much prefer you buying it from like a local coffee shop or a distributor in your area. It's funny. Ape says they over roast great coffees, whereas the other says they're under roasting it. LOL. That's just the thing. People have their opinions on what over and under roasting are, and that's what it is. They're all opinions and subjective. Hope you have a great new year. What are your go-to V60 filter papers? KafaTek T90s, the medium dark roast. Hope you can give a grinder recommendation. Espresso only, versatility of milk drinks and Americano, single dose budget, 1,000. Thanks in advance. We can give a grinder recommendation. Espresso only, versatility. Probably Timemore 078S, but you can also do the Philos if you want something that probably does. That does fine too. They aren't the worst, but not my favorite roaster. If it's Sadie Hoff, is it also Baby Lance? Who knows? Why is Pietro so good on filter? Because I designed it that way. The birds on there are something. In fact, it's hand grind that allows it to be on par with 98. I feel this is not well known how good value it is. I really appreciate that. I mean, I designed the burrs for it to be filter focused and tried really hard to ensure we were optimizing every situation we could or every point that we had using a hand grinder with vertically mounted burrs. So. Hey, can I get your grind setting Rex for King Grinder K6? I don't know it off the top of my head. I use so many grinders. I apologize. Thanks for reviews. The last year just got an Encore ESP review. Amazing. Thanks for brilliant reviews. Absolutely. Thank you. Omnia is disappointed Lance with poor alignment. It's true. Looking to upgrade. Is that Haynes Joffman? LOL. Looking to upgrade my grinder to pair with the Synchronic. Currently have set a 270 WI. Depends on your budget and what you're wanting. Does Onyx EU have subscription? Yes, they do. Best coffee subscription in EU. Onyx EU. No, we're not going to plug me. I'm not really sure. I don't do subscriptions. Less than 50% like ratio. This is why your parents think you're a disappointment. I don't know what that means. What's your opinion on Icosa Cyclone Carafe? Have you tried it? I honestly, I don't believe in any of that stuff. When it comes to these like fancy glassware and stuff, is there a difference? Probably if you did blind tasting. Are you ever going to do blind tasting? No. The thing is like you only tell the difference when it's relative and comparative. And when are you going to everyday brew a cup, pour it into a fancy cup, brew a cup, pour it into a non-fancy cup, and then side beside them? If you're not doing that, you're not really going to have the benefits, I don't think. Do you like co-ferment coffee? When it's decaf, yes, I do actually. Someone in forum said it's because water boils at cooler temp and bolder, so everything is dialed for that. Makes sense to me. Okay. Best burr set for DF64 for more classic espresso. Probably just the base burrs. Philos is the two of grinders, and I have two. I don't know what, like the Hawk Tua? Or the Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know. Happy New Year, Lance. I own Hyper G5 grinder. Should I go for DF54? Keep what you got unless it doesn't work. Apologies if I already asked, but what do you expect competitive value-wise with the DF83V? Really something I'm debating pulling trigger as an upgrade from 4-year love. Eureka Slincy. Why would you upgrade from the Eureka? What's going on with it? Your opinion on Japanese Kisaten style coffee? I've not had it. Siphon brews will melt your mouth if you don't wait. Would you get the same body texture with 49 conversion on the decent as a real spring lever such as KafaTek? You'll probably get better with the 49 conversion on the decent than the KafaTek. So KafaTek's 58 mils. As some people say, the decent just can't copy your level. It's true they can't, but 49 will help. Any ETA on when it will finish? I wish I had one. What's the difference between co-ferment, infused, flavored, etc.? Just the way that they are processed. So co-ferment would be you throw banana peels in with the greens and they're fermenting side by side. Whereas infused, it gets difficult. You have infusions, you have yeast manipulations. We probably just honestly you could probably go and I'm sure that Ada Battle. Oh, not Ada Battle. I bet you that. Oh my God, who's the podcaster? Solis. It was Lucia Solis. I'm sure has an episode on that. SSP is a lot better than the stock burr of DF. A lot better depends. I don't necessarily think it's a lot better. I prefer it, but it's not a lot better. Remember you said you want a 49 millimeter spring lever in the last stream. And you plan on trying the Cremina SL? Yeah, it's just they're so expensive. DF54 almost the same as DF64. I have 54. Now you don't need to upgrade. Have you tried the 64 Malkonik ceramics that you bought from eBay? They're not Malkonik 64s. They're La Marzocco. Well, I guess maybe they are Malkonik made, but no, I haven't tried them yet. I'm just destroy your coffee gear and buy this now. LOL. Hames obviously hasn't watched Didding Lab Sweeter EK43. I mean, I would go EK43. Want to switch from Hario Phil, but I would test the alignment and send it back if it's not good. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to end it now. I tried to go through as much as I could. Don't do Rayo Purger water. Someone said something about Rayo Purger water. I just wouldn't recommend it. Go a lot lower on the buffer. Started grinding coarser and shaking in 2024. Then you're gonna have a great 2025. That's what you should get away from this video. Okay, so I'm gonna wind down. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. So let's have some closing remarks. So first off, we're still 70 off on the like meter. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Don't be silly billies. So what did we learn in this video today? We learned that we are not going to be caught culprit of marketing schemes. In 2025, there's going to be a lot of new gear come out. Guess what? Your gear is sufficient. Drink some tasty coffee. Play around with your coffee, with your machines as you have them. You can play around with them, modify them, do whatever you want, but don't feel the need. Throw the baby out with the bathwater and get something new. You're going to be A-okay. You're going to be fine. Everything is awesome. Okay, I would beatbox, my mouth is so dry. All right. So we don't want to fall victim to that. Don't want to fall prey to that. What we want to do instead is we want to keep on building the community online. We have a great community here on the Lance Hedrick Filter on my main channel, and Hoffin's channels and Morgan's channel, all the cool fun channels. Hoon was in the chat a bit ago. We have some incredible communities. Keep funneling into there. Play around with your coffee setup at home. Get into water. Get into these different things where you're not having to funnel out money for more goods. You don't need to keep buying goods that are sometimes some of these are going to end up in a landfill. Get things that are reusable and but mostly focus on buying good coffee in 2025. Grind coarser, shake more, yeet your coffees, less pours in a pour over. What are all the controversial things that I say? Feed slowly, and have a great new year. That's Lance. And that's New Year, New Gear. No fear. But anyway, we should end today with, I don't know. I was going to think of a song, but I can't think of a song. So instead, I'm just going to say, I hope that you brew something tasty today. And cheers. And end stream now.